listening keenly to what the people of Kenya have said, and after a holistic appraisal of the performance of my cabinet, decided to dismiss with immediate effect all the cabinet secretaries and Attorney General of the Cabinet of Kenya.
Ruto is back, baby. He is trustworthy once again. I am going to hop onto this media bandwagon, ride out the clicks, and say with all of them Gen Z African revolutionaries, Ruto has heard your cries. He just fired a couple of those little bottom feeders and left the biggest and most corrupt Americans and Kenyans intact to keep the elitist puppet masters satisfied and smelling like roses, huh? Attack your own corruptive little shrimps, but don't mess with the big white whale within whom you've taken refuge. Your puppet status has grown in even more significance to those who have details. But who's got details these days, right? Oh yeah, we do. If you've heard the speech, it was great. All of his speeches are well written. Perfect. But if you happen to skip the part where he sounded really tongue-tied, kind of like somebody else I know.
And as Ambassador Whitman, and by the way, she's smarter than I am. She's handling everything. I was amazed. We had a meeting earlier. This is ad-libbing.
All the cabinet secretaries and Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, of the Cabinet of Kenya, except the Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Affairs, and of course, the Office of the Deputy President is not affected in any way.
If you skipped that part, you might have missed the most major part of it all. It's where it all fell apart, and I'm going to share with you some very in-depth details here. And if you have these details, please don't tell anyone you got them from me, okay? And definitely don't let Gen Z or any other African revolutionaries hear this, please. Before we get started here, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to stop pretending right now that this whole protest of Gen Z is just about the finance bill that Ruto was signing. That was the straw, of course. I know that broke the camel's back, but it's a much bigger picture and a shallow way to say, the shallow way of thinking about it is it was the finance bill. That's all that did it. When everybody knows it goes much deeper than just that, okay? Because I want to go into the details of where we're at now and what he has said of who he's keeping. Because if we go back to the part that kicked off this whole ordeal was when he was with Biden administration and Blinken and Joe Biden in the White House over in Washington. I'm going to bring this video to your attention for 1 second. This will get us kick-started and lay the foundation. But if while you're seeing this, you see this woman right here, okay? She is at the event. Okay, she's right here, the older lady. And now you'll notice that during, she goes and sits down, and after Blinken and Kamala and all those arrive, she goes to sit down and she's here toasting with the rest of the crew. Let me show you right here. Okay. This woman right here.
The goal
okay?
of the trip.
That's who he's keeping. That's who he said he was keeping. That right there is Meg Whitman. You may have heard of her, you may not have. She's not hugely important, but she is to Ruto. I'm going to go into detail on this and let you know that this is one of the big reasons why Kenya and Ruto are in the predicament they are. Leave it to a Westerner. So you see, when Ruto said this,
except the Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Affairs, and of course, the Office of the Deputy President is not affected in any way.
So when he said that, he was keeping safe and not firing Meg Whitman, of course. Well, she's kind of there. He was pampering her, comforting her, and keeping Honorable Musalia Mudavadi safe. So he threw them a bone. And there's a reason for that. And in a way, they're the ones who started all of this. So let's take a look at Meg Whitman, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Meg Whitman said, "I've never dreamed I'd be an ambassador to Kenya." Whitman told me in an interview, "I don't know, maybe I'll retire. I've said that 3 times, but we'll see what happens." Whitman is a former CEO of eBay, Hewlett-Packard, and short-lived Quibi. In 2010, she waged an unsuccessful Republican campaign for governor of California. That's what President Trump would have called a swamp creature. Republican, Democrat, don't matter. You're in the system, and that's a swamp creature. Down low, bottom feeders, nobody sees you, nobody sees your eyes, but you're there, but you want power, blah, blah. Anyway, she became a major donor to President Joe Biden, which made her a prime candidate for an ambassadorship. Wealthy, politically appointed ambassadors often landed cushy posts in Europe, but Biden aides suggested Kenya would be a better fit for Whitman. Kenya, a better fit for Whitman. I mean, come on, why else wouldn't a billionaire CEO white woman from Silicon Valley that has Silicon Valley hype and knows nothing about Africa or Kenya or the people of Kenya, why wouldn't she be perfect for Kenya? Well, I thought maybe someone from Kenya, like with roots in Kenya, that cared about Africa, that knew about Kenya, maybe from the diaspora, I don't know, would have been a better fit than Whitman. But the elites, you see how she got there? With money, protecting their own. This is our concern. And you might be shocked it goes as deep as the elections with Raila Odinga against Ruto, and it goes as deep as Silicon Valley and Silicon Savannah. It's deep. Oh, by the way, now that I think about it, what did Raila Odinga tell Meg Whitman last time he spoke to her after the elections?
What is wrong is police brutality. Now finally, you want to tell a rogue ambassador, leave Kenyans alone. If Mandamano can lead to a dialogue between Ichung'wah and Kalonzo, everything is good with Mandamano. Tell the rogue ambassador, Kenya is not United States. Kenya is not a colony of the United States. Keep your mouth shut when you're here. Otherwise, you will call for your recall back to your country. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I think he ended up patching it up between those two, so I'd still be a little bit cautious of him as well. But also, now we head over to Silicon Savannah.
Kenya, as many here know, has Silicon Savannah, a $1 billion technology ecosystem.
Now we talk about Silicon Savannah, the technical ecosystem of Kenya. And the term is a play on Silicon Valley and the grassland of Savannah ecosystem that is a dominant feature in Kenya's ecology. It's known for producing the banking enterprises M-Pesa and social enterprise M-Kopa. The term Silicon Savannah became associated with Kanza Technology City. Now let me tell you something here about Silicon Valley in the United States. Now the Silicon Valley is known for two very big things in the United States, which is what they're trying to post this off of. For one, it's known for a very elite group. And for two, it's known for a very LGBTQ community. Huge, bigger than anywhere in the United States. It is the Sodom and Gomorrah, some call it, of the United States. But as of June 2021, it also had the highest percentage of homes valued at $1 million or more in the United States. Silicon Valley is home to many of the world's largest high-tech corporations, including headquarters for more than 30 businesses, so it's very prosperous, and thousands of startup companies. But this shortage has driven home prices extremely high, far out of range of production workers. This is a very elite community. As of 2016, a two-bedroom apartment rented for about $2,500, while the median home price was about $1 million. And as of now, that may have even close to doubled. And these are US dollars. So we're looking at around $5,000 for what was $2,500 then in 2016. That was when Trump was president and things were low. Now things are high after COVID and the Biden administration hit hard. The Financial Post called Silicon Valley the most expensive US housing region. Homelessness is a problem with the housing beyond the reach of middle-income residents. So if you're not middle class, you're either higher class or homeless or low class. That's what Silicon Valleys and Savannahs represent, an elite group. The wealth inequality in Silicon Valley is more pronounced than in any other region of the United States. A 2023 report found that aggregate household wealth of Silicon Valley including ultra-high net worth individuals, was nearly 1.1 trillion, and less than 1% of the valley's population held 36% of the wealth. You got your 1%, you're really high, and then everybody else is low. That's what they're looking to do here. So where will you find Meg Whitman? In the middle of it all, she will find front and center to Silicon Savannah, to that new colonialist, the new white, far white, liberal extremist ideology to be implanted in the most elitist part of Kenya. Ruto, you know what you're doing. The big difference between Ruto and, say, African revolutionaries. You see, African revolutionaries, as far as I remember, there's one man named Ibrahim Traore. He's over in Burkina Faso on the other side of Africa. I'm sure a lot of you know about him. But Ibrahim Traore was, first thing we do is we get out the French and the US embassies. And don't look at me, I don't want to see America and Kenya in a bad relationship. I want to see them in a great relationship. I want to see them in the best relationship there's ever been, but I want to see them in a fair and true and realistic relationship for the people and not just for the elites. And what we're looking at here is an elitist group that still maintained their hold on President Ruto. Even during all of this, Ruto has one specific area that he's not going to let go of. And if you think about where all of this started, it started when he went to the United States, came back and signed all those papers. The reason he was to sign all those papers was because he went to the elitist group, and the people that he kept there in that platform, on that stage when he made that speech, was that elitist group, that same group that has put him in the position he's in now, that has made all Kenyans over there, even especially the Gen Z, protest the very thing that he is doing. So we're looking at two types of revolutionaries here. We're looking at an elitist group of revolutionaries that are fighting against the Gen Z. And they're going to try to do it in a very smart and very productive way to keep the money that the IMF is buying their land with, their country with. Those are just my thoughts. Let me know what yours are down below in the comments, my brothers and sisters. Please like, subscribe, share if you feel it in your heart to do so. And remember, one love, ladies and gentlemen. We are one love. Jesus is Lord of all this. There is nothing impossible through him. And God bless you all, and we will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.